Where does Russ rank amongst all-time point guards?
Well, he's not top 3. That's ridiculous. He's not. Listen, is Russell Westbrook the 3rd best point guard today? Because no one's going to take him before Steph or James Harden. And Westbrook's my favorite player, and I'm telling you that. I would pay to see Westbrook before anybody else. But no one's taking him before Steph and James Harden. It's not even really his fault. It's because he doesn't shoot it really well, and he does everything else really well. But in the modern game, you have to be able to shoot it. Look, when you hear Scott Brooks say it, you got to not just take it with a grain of salt. You need a whole salt shaker, right? He's his 2-time coach. Of course he's going to up his dude. Of course he is. But is Russell Westbrook? Look, the real answer to the greatest point guard of all time is LeBron James. Oh, he's a forward. Yeah, he runs your offense. He's your primary ball handler. He's your playmaker. By the way, he can guard the other team's point guard, even if it's Derrick Rose in his best season, right? That's the real answer. But if you want to take him and Doncic, all the kind of like point forwards out of it, there's still just even today Steph and James Harden. Let alone all time, because every era has multiple dudes like that guy. You want a guy who won championships? Isaiah Thomas won championships. You want guys who put up crazy assists? This one put up crazy assists. That one put up those numbers. This one made deep playoff runs. I mean, to call Westbrook the 3rd greatest or 2nd greatest because he had a triple-double streak, you know what it reminds me of, guys? Pete Rose has the hit streak, and by the way, he should be in the Hall of Fame. And the hit streak means he was great, just like this triple-double streak means Westbrook is great. But it doesn't mean he's the greatest of all time or top 3 at his position. It just means he's a very great player who reached an amazing accomplishment, and we should applaud him without going into hyperbole talking about other than Magic. He's the greatest point guard of all time.
Yeah, Max, I'm with you 100% on that. And to comment on Scott Brooks' statement about him being the 2nd greatest point guard of all time, if that's the truth, if that's a fact, then Scott Brooks, that's kind of an indictment on you as a head coach, because you had him and Kevin Durant for 7 seasons out in OKC, and you weren't able to get out the West only but one time. And not to mention, you also had James Harden for 3 of those seasons. But that's an aside. When you look at the all-time greats at the point guard spot, I just can't put Russell Westbrook in the top 2. I think there's a case to be made that he's probably outside of the top 5. If you just look at the triple-doubles career list, the top 5 on that list, Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd, LeBron James, you're not putting him over any of those guys. You're not taking him over any of those dudes. And then, Max, you mentioned it, Steph Curry and James Harden currently. So I just feel like we get a little carried away when we start talking about Russell Westbrook's place amongst the greats at that position, because people get enamored with the triple-double as a stat. No disrespect to Russ. It's a hell of an accomplishment. The fact that he was able to do it 4 out of the last 5 years is a testament to his effort, his energy, his intensity, and his mentality. That's to be applauded. But he ain't a top 2 point guard all time. Let's stop that.
Big Perk, here's what I need from you. I need a list. Give me your top 5 here right now and where Russ ranks.
Well, first of all, Molly, can you repeat when Max started talking, I tuned him out.
Too much.
And then Canty doubled down. I tuned him out as well. So I'm just going to refresh my mind and get my thoughts together, because what they were saying just now was blasphemy, right? That was just ridiculous. And I got to say it in honor of Stephen A. Look, here's the top 5. Here's my top 5 list of all time. You got Magic Johnson at number 1, okay? You got Isaiah Thomas, the greatest little man, in my opinion, at number 2. You got Stephen Curry at number 3, a generational talent, a point guard that changed the game of basketball. At number 4, you got Russell Westbrook, okay? Russell Westbrook. We're not about to sit up here and downplay triple-doubles, and I'll dive into that in a second. And at number 5, we got Chris Paul, CP3, the ultimate floor general, the guy, coacher himself, okay? Now, when you talk about Russell Westbrook and why I have him ranked top 5, name someone that's going to replace him. And I'll argue with you right now and tell you why you're wrong. Okay? And when you listen to Scott Brooks' statement, he was not wrong about saying that Russell Westbrook ranks up there with the best of them, because aside Scott Brooks being a coach and coaching Russell Westbrook with 2 organizations, guess what? Scott Brooks also was a player. Okay, Scott Brooks also played with all-time greats. He played with Charles Barkley. He played with Akeem Olajuwon. He won championships. He was in eras where there were other greats that were playing, so he knows how to reevaluate talent. And one thing we all know about Scott Brooks is Scott Brooks don't say much in the media. He rarely lashes out about anything, about anyone. And when we talk about the Brody, right? We're talking about a guy that dominates, okay? And I know some people may try to make an argument of, well, you're leaving out John Stockton. Don't give me that John Stockton nonsense. Russell Westbrook put up 21 assists last night without Bradley Beal. Could you replace John Stockton with Russell Westbrook last night and tell me that John Stockton, with the personnel Russell Westbrook had around him last night, that John Stockton would have finished this game last night with Bertans and Robin Lopez, with Robin Lopez with 21 assists? And then check this out.
I think that if you want to say that Westbrook, and take everyone except for Magic, say LeBron doesn't count, he's not really a point, whatever people want to say, and you want to say Westbrook fits in with the other great point guards who never won a championship, AI, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul. You want to argue about where they rank John Stockton, where they rank next to each other. You can make arguments on either side of that. I'm saying there's some dudes you're going to lose the argument to, like James Harden. My whole issue with Harden is he hasn't come through deep in the playoffs, but neither has Westbrook. And year in and year out, Harden's a more valuable player. He has more trade value. It's his team where he goes. He demonstrates this every year, even in Brooklyn. They don't win without him, even when they have KD and Kyrie. They've been playing in the same league together since Harden left OKC. In most of those years, there have been a couple where I think Westbrook's been better than Harden.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.